The time is upon us, and for people like myself, and I'm sure quite a few of you who will end up watching this because you'll see the title, one-shot snipers are coming back. Season 3 confirms from the blog today that one-shot snipers are returning. Let's take a look at it. I'll show you right here. It says, one of these changes will excite operators who took a trip over the rainbow this past March. Expect the return of one-shot sniper rifles under certain attachment and platform conditions as part of the seasonal update. So let's talk about that and what that actually means. So at the end of Caldera of Call of Duty Warzone, the first one, the last seasons of Warzone for the first one, sniper rifles, not all could one-shot headshot. And well, not all of them could one-shot headshot at any range. A lot of the heavy sniper rifles were allowed to one-shot headshot, and all of the faster rifles were going to be limited in their range in which they could do so. And I imagine that's going to be returning. So today, I'm going to bring you 2 sniper rifle builds that I think are going to be just needed for any sniper that wants to one-shot headshot across all ranges. Now, with these, of course, obviously, we're going to be looking at this with the premise that my assumption on the way that they're going to do this is correct, but we will revisit obviously once it gets there. But this is something for you to test and work with, and hopefully get your sniper on. So what we've got here today is going to be 2 of, I would say, the longest range snipers in the game, and that is access to the MCPR and the Victus. So the Victus is going to be what a lot of people are going to go for, but I'm going to try to sway you to the MCPR by the end of this. So let's start off with the Victus. So for the highest possible bullet velocity that you're going to need, Ruin Counter Ops, Mac 8 33.5 Super, and the 50 cal high velocity. If you're going to be running any of the sniper rifles, most of this stays pretty true. It's going to need 1 suppressor or 1 muzzle silencer for yourselves. It's called a suppressor, but other people call them silencers. We'll need 1 of these, which are going to be a bullet velocity suppressor. You're going to need a barrel. It's going to generally be whichever one has the largest number here. For the Victus, that is the Mac 8 33.5. And then you're going to need high velocity. I am a personal fan of the Luca Bandera scope. This is not going to be for everybody, as it is a variable scope. But what it has is an 8 times max with a small sniper glint, which means you're going to be less likely to be seen at long distances, and you're still going to have yourself a good zoom. Whereas a lot of these other ones that sit at medium are going to be a little bit different. You can use the DS Farsight. I'm not a fan of running this little red dot in the middle of my sight. I am much more of a fan of the clean optics. I will actually show it to you here. So this is a Luca Bandera sight. It is a very, very clean, very simple cross 2 black line. Makes it really easy to see what you're aiming at, and very, very little sight occlusion, meaning you're not putting something in front of the target that you can't see past. When you get to using things like a red dot in a lot of your sights, you will see that they are going to be blocking things. And when you start getting into smaller sights, or smaller targets at distance, that's going to start getting in the way. If you're trying to be an aggressive sniper, you probably weren't looking at these guns to begin with anyways, but these would not be the sights for that. Okay, so the Victus. One of the big things that a lot of people overlook in this game is aiming stability. Aiming stability, especially for snipers, is going to make your sniping shots a lot easier to make and to follow up, because your weapon will not be swaying everywhere. So we're running the FTAC Homeland for the Victus, and this is going to be not only the ability to increase aiming stability, but you can also tune it further for idle aim stability. So that's going to be very, very useful. We tuned a lot of the other stuff for ADS speed, as we're going to need it, because this is going to be a relatively slower build, but you'll find that it still ADSs pretty quickly. Muzzle goes to bullet velocity, high velocity rounds goes to bullet velocity and damage range. But the big secret behind the Victus itself is, even with one-shot headshots, this is still a 2-shot to the body, and that's still pretty good. And that's going to be true for our next one, and the one that I'm going to try to lean you towards, despite having a slightly slower bullet velocity, and that is going to be the MCPR. The MCPR is probably going to be one of my favorite sniper rifles as far as in the actual sniper style. I do run the LAB 330 quite a bit, but this one is going to be more of the premise of long shots, and it's going to not be as aggressive as the LAB 330. And we'll go over that here in just a minute. But follows a very similar pattern. The Nil Sound 90, as the Bruin counter ops does not exist for the MCPR. So the Nil Sound 90 is your best bet. The 22-inch OMX barrel is your next one. 300 high mag 300 mag high velocity for this one, and then again a stability stock over here in the Cronin Lion stock. Follows a similar trend, aiming stability and ADS speed on everything. Aim walking speed, ADS speed. I do recommend frequently aim walking speed for sniper rifles in this game right now, because one, they don't one-shot headshots, so you want to be able to peek corners faster. But with the return of one-shot headshots, that peek is going to be even more important to not be counter-sniped. So do be aware, with the return of snipers for yourself is return of snipers for others. So do consider your shots when you go in and how quickly you can get to them. Bullet velocity and damage range here for the mag as well. And then I, of course, am running the Luca Bandera scope. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of you have unlocked it, and running around in the DMZ, I've seen a lot of you do it. And I'm going to tell you right now, please stop running the Raptor FVM, okay? This scope right here, it produces the light like the beacon of Gondor staring at you from across the map. If you've ever wanted to let every enemy on the map know where you are just by looking down the side of your weapon, this is it. Do not use the Raptor FVM 40. Please don't do it. Stick to some of these sights that are down here at the small, very small, and medium. If you are a person who is colorblind like myself, you can consider running the, there it is, SZ heat source. This one does have a large scope glint as well, but this one is extremely helpful if you have issues identifying targets. As you'll see, it one puts everything to similar colors and gives a kind of a glow to the outside of targets. This is very helpful when it comes down to the fact that you are going to need to be able to find people at range and maybe find them up close. But again, use those only if you really feel like you need that additional assistance. So let's talk the pros versus the cons of the MCPR. MCPR is currently sitting around only about 50-ish meters per second on the difference in bullet velocity, which once you're used to it will make no difference. But as a default, it does higher damage to the limbs, it does higher damage to the body, it does similar damage to the neck, and they both would max out at 250 to damage to the head, which means if you're missing shots, if you're missing headshots, you're still doing more damage with the MCPR than if you are using the Victus. And that's a slight trade for just a barely slower bullet velocity. And the default mag on this is 10. And if you are even 50% accurate, you can take out 5 people with headshots on this. Whereas 50% accurate, you're only getting maybe 3 people with the Victus. So this gives you similar bullet velocity, better body damage, still the one-shot headshot potential we think right now, and twice the number of bullets in a magazine. This is going to be significantly better for those of you who are playing duos, trios, quads, or you are just a sniping fiend. So please consider the MCPR for your sniper primary. Looking at this from another perspective, if we say Call of Duty throws us a curveball and not every sniper is guaranteed to always one-shot headshot, and we're looking at damage ranges, and we're looking at a lot of other factors, I had made the suggestion of not allowing to one-shot headshot with high velocity rounds. I don't know that they'll take that because they've probably never heard me say that, but that was a suggestion I had made in one of my videos. And if we're looking at just simple ranges of the game, say that not all ranges will allow for one-shot headshots, the next thing you're going to look at is actual range of weapons. The Victus is actually one of the furthest range weapons in the game. And so if we're considering that weapons may drop off over ranges, say they give them a third damage drop off in which they cannot one-shot headshot anymore, the priority of use is going to go from Victus to MCPR. From there, you're going to be looking at the LAB and then the SPX. And that's only very little between the LAB and the SPX. And one of the things you can use to see kind of that information is sim.gg. So if you go to sim.gg, we're going to pull it up here. It's a wonderful website, sim.gg. They are not sponsoring this. I just use it daily. If we pull up all the sniper rifles here, we're going to actually see the damage models and how far out they can reach for certain things, because this has already been coded into the game for one-shot headshots for most game, or for, oh, actually it looks like they pulled it out on sim. Okay, so you're gonna see here, let's do, so max at 249 damage because they have it coded down. So max at 249 reaches all the way up to 49 meters for everything except for the Signal 50. The Signal 50 will never one-shot headshot. I want you to know that. The Signal 50, high rate of fire, good damage, will never one-shot headshot. It's sitting in the Dragunov area right now, and so you're not going to ever want to consider that if you're looking for the one-shots. If you're looking for a highly lethal marksman rifle in the sniper category, you're looking for the Signal, but this isn't it anymore. So the LAB, MCPR, SPX, and the Victus are the ones we're looking at here. So we're going to go ahead and pull the Signal from the list so we get a little bit clearer graph. You're going to see the Victus maintains that 249, and so does the MCPR. So it looks like they should, respectively, carry that out infinitely. Infinitely carry that out. So if we can, say that will forever go, then we're going to look at the LAB. LAB, its damage drop-off happens, actually it looks like the SPX goes 1 meter further. So the LAB drops off at 50 meters, and the SPX drops off at 52. Yes. So if we were looking at this under the idea that they already have these pre-programmed to the game, that means that the SPX and the LAB will only one-shot up to 50 and 51 meters. Of course, they were talking about by attachments as well. So if you start getting into that and you start adding on things like the Nil Sound 90 to the weapon, you'll actually see that the SPX now jumps out to 59 meters. But by going through and tuning these weapons like the LAB and the SPX, you might be able to get it to extend out just a little bit further as well. We can get the LAB extended all the way out to 64 meters, whereas the SPX maxes at its 59. But these are all things that we're going to have to go in and learn ourselves and see based on the patch notes. But if you want to start training today for Wednesday, grab yourself the MCPR, test it out, and try my build. Let me know how you like it. Thank you all so much for checking this out. I really wanted to get it out to you as quickly as possible, and hopefully get you all ready for Season 3. It looks like a sniper's return. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, peace!